All right. So you are attending the sixth Parents on the Mission event. So together with us, our members are also the SWAP members. SWAP is the abbreviation for Student Who Are Parents organization at TCC. So we call our events Parents on the Mission because we do have a mission to help you, support you to be successful through this semester and this coming year. So our mission is to support students through mentoring, coaching, and resources. So I will reach out to you individually and see where I could help you in terms of study skills, time management, so on and so forth. And I am I work for as the academic success coach. I'm one of the coaches at the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So this event is our sixth event this semester. We had we have planned 8 events this semester. The last one will be May the 4th. It's our graduation, so please take notes on that and attend that event. So today our agenda is this. We first welcome and do the introduction, and then we have invited a guest speaker, Mr. Ryan McKenna. He's a realtor. He gave a presentation I think a couple weeks ago about first time home buying, and we got great response and feedback. And that's why we invited him to talk about credit, how to build your credit. So hopefully you would find it useful to assist with your living situation. So last of all, your name will be entered into the prize drawing. We will notify the winners once the enrollment status is confirmed. We will try to draw your name first, and then once your enrollment is confirmed, we'll let you know. The price will be, in terms of, it's going to be $10 gift cards. So last of all, we will have a small Student Who Are Parents invitation and meeting if time allows. So as I have mentioned, this is Parents on the Mission. We have already got 5 or 6 events taken place, and students heard from different powerful speakers from the community and TCC resources. So our today's event, we're going to have Realtor Speaker Ryan talk about the credits, and then next session will be 2 weeks from now on April the 20th. You'll be introduced to various important TCC resources such as TRIO and accessibility services. So those are part of our student support offices that I hope you can attend. It's at the same, on the same Zoom link and at the same time on Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Of course, I'll be glad to send you reminders through the marketing email. The last session will be on May 4th. It's the graduation ceremony. I would like to tell you that each of these events will be, we will have draw prizes. We'll draw prizes. The last event will have 10 prizes. All of these are sponsored by the generous support of Oklahoma Women's Foundation, matched by TCC Foundation. So, yeah, so this is showing our previous event. So one important, other resources I'd like to share is this. We do in our DEI office offer, through this funding, we offer the weekend parents bag for rent. So just like the library, it's a resource for the students who are parents. Inside the bags, you find thinking games like these. These are samples, right? There's also physical games and classic board games, plus children's books appropriate to different ages. So please feel free to contact me if you're interested to check out these bags to spend quality time with your children. So this would be helpful. There would be sign-up sheets in the office. So right now we have a couple mothers rent those bags, and then they return, they can swap to another age group bags. If you have 1 or 2 children, we have 2 bags for the same, for age group. So we have planned for 10 bags all total. So this is for rent, and that's one resources. And the other one that I'd like to share is that I'm glad to tell you we are preparing care bags for parent participants. So what this is that we have funding to support parents and children. So if you're needing diapers, children's socks, headsets for your children, something to use like wipes or diapers, those kind of things in that line, please email me so that I can, we can start ordering. The deadline is today because I'm going to send out this invitation to all our participants. So some invitation has been done, and the list has been organized by Jonica and the Swap e-board. So, and this one, please email me. And my email is joy.betts@tulsacc.edu. So I can type it in the type box. Please make sure to contact me. Okay, so after our speaker, we'll have Q&A session. So please be prepared to ask him any questions you may have. The next one is that for each event, we have planned a survey, sign-in survey. So I would give you the link in the chat box once the speaker starts. That way you can click on that. It takes a few minutes to fill it out, to tell us your feedbacks. Then you'll be entered, your name will be entered into a prize drawing. We have 5 winners at this event. So hope you all have a great semester. So is there any questions about the items I was covering? Okay, so Jonica, have you heard anything about our speaker?
Yes, he's on.
Oh, he's on. Okay, so yeah. Great, Mr. Ryan McKenna. So next, I'm going to have Jonica, our SWAP president, to give a brief introduction about our speaker.
Hi, everyone. If you could please drop your T number in the chat. That way we can record you as being present today. So our guest speaker is, back by popular demand, Ryan McKenna. Ryan has his bachelor's in management information systems. He is a commercial residential realtor. He does real estate investing, wholesaling, and flipping properties. He also does Airbnb management, stock and option trading. He is involved with several charities, including the Habitat for Humanity, Community Action Project, University of Tulsa Scholarship Funds, and he's working with a partner to start a nonprofit to help the homeless in Tulsa. And today he is talking with us about credit repair. I'd like to introduce you all to Ryan McKenna.
Hello. I'm trying to share my screen here. I might have to be set up as the host, I think.
Oh, yes. I need to stop mine first. Thank you. Let me see. Okay, stop share. Okay.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm currently working on site, so I'm in my truck, so I'm pretty fancy. But I'm Ryan McKenna. I'm here to speak about credit repair to help people that might be wanting to repair their credit for purchasing a home or any other reason. You know, it's always good to have good credit for any reason. And just, she already mentioned I'm a realtor, I'm a real estate investor. I also buy houses if somebody knows of houses that need a lot of work and can add value to them. And also if anybody you know that wants to become a realtor, I can help them with that. I'm always looking for people that want to get into this industry and I can help them out. And if you ever have anybody you know that's wanting to buy or sell a house, I'm always wanting to help them out as well. Okay, so there's three main credit bureaus that you should know about. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They're all pretty much similar. The thing is that each company or everywhere that you deal with, they pull from different ones. So whenever you go to buy a car or something, they might only pull from Experian, but not the other ones. And each one only will have certain things about you. So it's kind of like going to the casino. You never know what they're going to pull. You know, some of them might, some places might report to all of them. Some places might only report to one or two. So you never know what your score is different depending on what credit bureau they pull from. Just that's something you should know. You should always know about annualcreditreport.com. This is the only site that the federal government supports for getting your credit reports. Every year you're allowed to pull your report for free, and you can pull from all three credit bureaus from this one site. You're allowed once a year, and also if you ever denied credit, you get to pull as well. So if you ever get denied credit, you're allowed to come in here and pull again. So if you pulled 3 or 4 months ago or 6 months ago, you can pull again for free if you've been denied credit from anywhere. Always want to know your credit score. The credit score is different than your credit report. The credit score is actually the score that they assign to you based on how they think your credit worthiness is. And I've included that scale here, ranging from poor to excellent. And like 580 is usually the minimum that they would be able to give you a loan to purchase a house. That's usually the minimum. So that's a good number to know. Obviously, as you move into these different zones here, as you move into these different zones, you get better rates. So, and obviously the best rates are if you're over 800, that's where you get the absolute best rates every time you go in. And you might note these two sites, Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, those both let you be able to view your credit score. And they the one thing I like about both of these sites is that they also email me whenever something changes on my credit, and it's kind of nice for monitoring your credit in case somebody's doing fraud or anything like that. You can always put a freeze on your credit if anybody does try to do fraud that you can see. You always want to do that freeze, and it'll stop people from opening new credit and doing things in your name. This is basically a graph of what your credit score is made up of. So the main two things obviously are payment history and the amounts owed. So those are more important than the other things. Credit history, length of credit history is the next biggest thing, but more importantly is paying on time and how much you owe. So you want to keep those in line. So if you sometimes have to sacrifice the other pieces of pie just to get the other ones up, that's better because those are more valuable, you know, to making your credit score go up. And the average FICO scores, but that's what they call a credit score, is 692 in the United States. And credit inquiries is one thing as well, that it's 10%. It's a small amount, but if you, it can make the difference between you being a 700 and an 800 sometimes, or I mean, in the mid 700s to the 800s. So a lot of people I know that have really good credit and they're like 790s or whatever, they'll go and pay a lawyer to have credit inquiries removed. And they do this to get their credit score up into the 800s. And it's because they've had credit, and those credit inquiries do drop off over time. I think it's 2 years, if I remember right. But those credit inquiries do drop off over time, and Credit Karma will let you know as those drop off. It'll send you a little email saying, congratulations, one of your inquiries dropped off. Another thing about inquiries is that if you are buying a house or a car, and you go and shop around and you've looked for like 3 or 4 different places to buy or to finance your vehicle or your home, you're only, as long as you do that within 30 days, it only counts as one inquiry, which is good to know, because you don't want to, some people get scared to shop around because they think, oh, I'm going to get like 5 inquiries on my credit and it's going to hurt my credit score. Well, you only get 1 inquiry if you're shopping for the same type of loan within 30 days, just so you know. And then if you do have, after you've pulled all your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com, I always recommend contesting anything that's negative on those reports. You have to do this for each credit bureau, and the annual credit report site tells you how to do it. Some of the credit bureaus let you do it online. Other ones, you have to do it in writing. You have to write a letter or an email or something and send it to them directly to have those contested. The reason you do this is because you have the credit owner, the owner of the credit that you owe, the owner of the debt that you owe, they have 30 days to respond. And if they don't respond, they automatically drop off. And I've had people that do this, and almost always half of your negative inquiries will drop off just from doing that, because a lot of these companies, the debt, especially if the debt's old, they've lost track of the debt, or they just don't care anymore. It depends on the company. The bigger the companies are, the more organized they are about responding to these debts. Any items that don't drop off from contesting them, you can negotiate them. And if it's close to being 7 years old, don't even bother with it usually, because those drop off automatically. All your debts drop off after 7 years. You can negotiate most debts for a fraction of what is owed, because those debts, they're not worth as much as time goes on. So you can negotiate, especially older debts. You can negotiate those, like a 2-year-old debt, 3-year-old debt. You can negotiate those down and say, let's say you owe 700 for an old phone bill or something. And then you negotiate it and say, hey, I'll give you 200. And they'll say, okay, we'll take 250, but you have to pay it today or something like that. You can do that, but always get it in writing. Don't trust them that they're just going to do it. Always get it in writing, either an email or a letter, written letter, and say, I want it in writing before I pay it. So that saying that you'll remove this debt, guaranteed. And you want to make sure that they have the debt, because that's another thing. If you call AT&T, they might have already sold that debt to somebody else, let's say, for an example. And a lot of debt is sold for pennies on the dollar. So I watched a thing on HBO from John Oliver, and he bought $2,000 or $20,000 worth of debt for $2,000. And so these companies, or no, it's $200,000 worth of debt for $2,000. And he went and forgave all that debt. And the funny thing, though, is that these companies, they don't care if they get the full amount that's owed, because they bought the debt super cheap. And the big companies, they just want to make some of their money back, and then they write off the rest on their taxes. So what happens is these debt collector companies, there's a lot of debt collector companies that buy your old debt, and they'll actually try to collect on it. And so any amount they collect above what they paid for it, which is not much, they're happy with. They also have, you know, operating expenses and things like that. So they always, when you talk to them about settling, they have a screen up, the representative, and they can see how much your debt is worth to them as far as operating expenses and what they paid for it. So they try to get at least that amount. And obviously they try to negotiate it high, and then you're trying to negotiate it low. So you can always negotiate with them. Don't let them bully you around, because they'll try to. They'll try to say, oh, well, you owe this and all this. There's nothing more they can do to you other than, you know, report it to your credit, and they've already done that if it's already on there. So the worst that can happen is that they might get a little gripey and grouchy with you, and you can always negotiate it down. Don't let them bully you. A lot of times you can say, hey, give it to me in writing. Once I get that in writing, I'll pay it the same day. And they're like very excited to get their money quickly. And then that'll be dropped off your credit after that. So the next thing is getting help. So there's people like me. I work with mortgage lenders and other people that I know that can help with fixing anything you need with your credit. They can give you more advice than I can. They're just let me know if you want help with any of that. Some of it's free, some of them cost money. So it just depends on what you want to do, who you want to work with, things like that. There's also lawyers, like I said before, that can remove credit inquiries from your credit report if you really want that. That's usually not very important, because like the pie showed, it's only 10%. So it's only one of those things, like if you're trying to get from, you know, the 700s to 800, maybe that's a bigger deal. But and then there's companies that can remove negative items for you that you can pay. And it's up to you if it's worth it to you to pay somebody to improve your credit. In my opinion, you can just do it on your own, like with some of these things that I've mentioned, and work with some of the mortgage lenders that I work with. They can also help you. I have some that'll help you for free, some that'll, you know, that do charge. And then I always tell people credit cards are tools. That a lot of people think credit cards are evil, and that all they're for is racking up debt, and people spend on them like crazy. You just have to think of them as a tool. Don't think of it as a bad thing. You know, if you think of something as a bad thing, it'll be a bad thing. If you think of it as a good thing, maybe it'll help you with your life. And the thing is that credit cards make a bigger difference than any other thing on your credit report, because like car loans and mortgages and things, they show that whether you paid on time or not, but that's pretty much the only thing about them. And then once you paid them off, they drop off your credit report. But there's nothing really special about them. But credit cards, they have the power on your credit report. They're probably the most powerful thing on your credit report. And keep in mind that you want to keep your total amount of your available credit, or your total debt on your credit cards, under 30%. So if you have 3 credit cards and they're each $10,000 limits, you want to keep it under the 30% of that 30,000. So you want to keep your spending under that amount. So try to keep them paid down under that amount at all times to keep your credit score at the best it can be. You want to keep your old cards. Don't cancel them. A lot of people say cancel your old credit cards if you don't use them anymore. The reason I say that is if you cancel an old card, it cuts off your credit history, because now you've lost some of that credit history, especially if it's an older card. You're going to lose that credit history, and that dings you on that 10% for credit history, or is it 15%? It dings you on that credit history, and you don't want to do that. And also, it lowers your available credit limit as well. So my recommendation is to keep those cards and just use them occasionally and pay them off, so that they don't become a burden. You know, just every now and then buy a candy bar and then pay it off, and then that's how you keep it going. because if you don't use a card for a long time, they'll cancel the card, just so you know. Adding more cards over time can increase your available credit limits. You can also ask your existing card companies to increase your limit as well. Those things help because then your available credit limit goes up and you're able to buy more with that 30%, you know. And I even know people that are wealthy that their credit score gets dinged because they spend a ton of money on their credit cards every month and they pay them off every month. But the problem is that they carry such a high balance all the time because they're always buying so much stuff. So their solution was always to get more credit cards because then your total available goes up enough to where hopefully they can get their normal spending under 30%. But there's some people that just spend huge amounts of money on their credit cards, especially if you're running a business or something off your credit card. You might have a lot of reoccurring expenses and things, you know, that get reimbursed through sales. And then that becomes a problem. Like I know people that sell on Amazon and they do that all the time. They buy product to sell on Amazon, then they pay it off and they sell the product. Well, it hurts their credit score because of that, because they're always maxing out their credit cards but they're paying them off every month. The banks don't care because they only look at your credit score. Also, one of my favorite tools of having a credit card is the rewards. You can get free travel, you can get cash back, things like that, just for buying groceries and doing things like that. I recommend checking out my buddy's YouTube channel. It's Finance Buzz. He goes in, tells you, he's from Tulsa. He goes in there and tells you everything you want to know about getting rewards and maximizing value on your credit cards, what credit cards to get to help you get lower interest rates and things like that. See, he's like such a guru on anything to do with that. So if you have time, check out his YouTube channel, and he's got a whole bunch of videos. Always pay on time if you can. You know, it's better to pay on time and not pay the full amount than to just miss the payment. Or, you know, I always say just pay the minimum and pay it on time at the very least. And if you want to pay more on a credit card, pay the highest rate ones first if you're going to pay additional to the minimum. Always pay the highest rate ones first, and always try to focus on keeping your limit under 30% to increase your credit score. Using 0% cards, 0% cards used to be huge. Now there's not very many anymore. I think the only one I know of really is Chase Slate, and I think Amex might have one. But those are really awesome because you can get a 0% credit card and do a balance transfer for 12 to 18 months. And then all of your credit cards will be at 0% for that time period. And that gives you much savings, a huge amount of savings. But there's not as many places that do that anymore. But some of them do offer low interest rate balance transfers. So even if you can get it down to 1 or 2% or whatever, it's still better than paying what some of the credit cards charge you for interest rates. And then also setting up secondary cards for building credit. That's always a good thing to do. That's what that is like if you have a credit card and you're wanting to build credit for one of your relatives, or you wanting your relatives to build credit for you, you can actually create a secondary credit card through your credit company for that person, and you can set limits on it. So like, let's say you want to build credit for your kid or your spouse, you can, and you have good credit and you have a credit card, you can give them a credit card based off your account, and you can set a limit of like $100 a month or whatever, and they can use that card and you pay it off every month, and it builds credit in their name using your credit card. You can also, if you're scared to give somebody that credit card, this is a trick my friends do, is they'll keep the card and they'll go and buy groceries with that card or something like that, and then they pay it off themselves. They buy groceries for themselves with that card and pay it off, and then that way they have control of the card, but they're also still building credit for their friend or for their relative. I mean, so it's another way to build credit. Like some people will even get the credit card and not even use it, just or very rarely use it, just to help it build credit for their relative. But that's another way to build it. There's also an Amazon store card that you can get. It's called, you can Google Amazon Credit Builder, and Amazon actually creates a store credit card, kind of like, you know, Best Buy has a store credit card, but it's really meant for building credit, and it's good for people that are wanting to do that. You can get that card, use it to buy things on Amazon, and it'll build up your credit over time. And then you'll eventually be able to, you know, increase your credit from there. There's also, there's other websites that you can look at that let you do net 30 purchases and things like that, where you can build your credit off of buying an item, and then the store offers you a 30-day period to pay it back, and they report it to your credit every time you do that, and it builds your credit history. So there's stores that do that. There's also the credit cards you probably heard of that you can pay money to get them. That might be worth it, because you do get that money back whenever, in the end, usually. Most of those cards will let you get that money back or apply it, you know, after you switch to a regular traditional card. But some of them do, you know, you can have those prepaid cards where it's like basically you're just building, it's just for building credit, and that's it. But credit cards are extremely important to credit, and that's the reason I talked about it so much. And it's extremely important, and I pretty much have gone through all of my slides here. So, and I was also wanting to answer questions about also first-time homebuyers, because I didn't have much time last time. So if you have any questions about this or first-time homebuyers, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming back. So everybody, we have this his recording on our website at DEI, TCC DEI. So if you're interested to listen to that, we got 35 participants on that event. And so there are a lot of good tips on buying a home. So now our floor is open for questions.
And there is a question here: how early can you start something like that? Are you talking about doing the credit repair?
Her mic doesn't work. She was asking that when you were talking about getting a credit card for your kids in their name.
Oh, yeah, you do need their social security number, and you do it either online, or you can call the credit card company to do it.
How old does the child need to be?
It depends on the company.
Yeah.
Some you do it at 12. I've been able to do as young as 10 for my Walmart credit card for my 10-year-old. I didn't try it for my 8-year-old. But
Yeah.
I have a question. If the floor is open still.
Yes.
So you mentioned that people basically buy debt from companies, and then for like fractions on the dollar, and then you said they forgive it. Well, who chooses what debt is bought? Like, how does that process work?
It's almost like they auction it off. Like, people go online and bid for the debt, and they buy it very cheaply. If you Google it, buying debt, you'll find companies online where you can buy debt. Anybody can buy debt. So it might be an individual, it could be a company, it could be anybody. And that's one reason why, if you contest everything that's negative, if that debt's already been sold, the person that owns the debt might not get the notification that you're wanting to contest the debt, and then after the 30 days it drops off. So that's one reason.
That was kind of like a pre-game question. My main question is, how do you build a business around buying people's debt just to forgive it, like a nonprofit organization?
Yeah, that's something that you can do, and there's nothing to stop you from doing that. Like
Cool.
like John Oliver did that on his show just to prove a point, you know. And I think it's a great idea. So
Cool.
there's nothing to stop you from doing it. You could create a 501c3 nonprofit, and then you could actually have people donate to it, and you could actually forgive debt, buy it and forgive it.
Would you be open to, after this meeting, getting in contact and discussing a little bit more so I can learn a bit more about this?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about anything.
Cool.
So,
All right,
yeah,
I'll send you my information in the chat.
okay,
Thank you.
sure. And any other questions, or any, you can also ask questions about first-time home buying too. Oh,
There's
somebody's
another one
putting-
in the chat.
I see it.
Yes, feel free to speak up. Right now, you can unmute.
I do have a question about first-time home buying. If you have credit that's, did you say under 680?
Yes, or 580. 580 is the lowest that they'll usually loan on in right now. So sometimes during the financial crisis in 2008, they made it very strict. Like it was extremely strict lending, but now they've kind of gotten a little more lenient, but they still have, they created a bunch of laws from that they have to abide by. And right now 580 is the minimum that you're able to do. So you do have to, if you have to have at least a 580, but your payment is going to be a little higher than if you had, you know, your interest rate will be higher because you're at that lowest tier that they loan to. And as you go up, there's like 4 or 5 tiers that they loan to based on your credit score. So as your credit score improves, your rate improves as well. They also look at your debt to income ratio, which is, you know, how much debt you have versus your income. I think they allow you to have 40% or something. 40% of your income can be debt on average, but each bank is a little different, and it's judged by what kind of loan you get as well, like what that debt to income ratio is. And then they also look at your loan to income ratio. So they don't want you to borrow more than 50% of your income to buy a house. And that's quite a bit, but houses are so expensive now, you know, that it's just very expensive. So but people have to spend up to 50% of their income now to buy a house. It's crazy, but that's the way it is.
So what's something we could do to fix that?
The prices of houses are so expensive. There's nothing really, it's hard to do anything about it because, for one thing, the price of building a house has become so expensive. The cost of wood has gone up, I think 80% over the last year because of COVID. And so the cost of building a house is so terribly expensive, and it just keeps going up. And also the demand for homes has gone up tremendously due to the low interest rates. So it's making it to where it's hard to buy a home. Now, there are organizations that do help, like Habitat for Humanity, who I work with. They build homes for people that are, you know, like single mothers and things like that. And they'll build homes for them, and then they'll come in and they will help subsidize it, you know, give you basically where you can buy a house for the cost of renting, and they don't require you to put anything down, things like that. So they make it very affordable for people, but not everybody does that. Obviously, it's you know, the market is supply and demand. So right now there's very low supply and very high demand, so the prices are very high, and they just keep going up. But
So would you go ahead? No,
it's good
no,
if
by all
it's
means,
good if
ask
you're a
any questions.
homeowner. That's why I'm always telling people buy a house, because the prices are going to keep going up, and definitely the prices are more now than they were before.
So I have a question. When you said it's 50% of your income, would that be your house payment with taxes and PMI and all that good stuff? Or how does that work?
It's it depends on the lender, so it's for me to say because it depends on the lender. But a lot of these highly detailed questions I wouldn't know because each lender's different. Each type of loan is different. I think with FHA, I don't think they take into account all of the things. It's just the payment itself for FHA. But for other loans, it's different. It varies by the loan. It varies by the bank. It varies by the, by what they decide is your income, because that's tricky too, because some things they don't allow as an income. Some things they do.
So is that the problem? Is that the issue?
There's a lot of issues. The main issue is that houses are very expensive, and it's hard for low income people to buy houses just because you have to have good credit and you have to have a down payment usually. Now there are instances where you don't need a down payment if you go with a USDA loan, or if there's programs that can help people if they're wanting down payment assistance. And I can help with that too if you want to find out more information about that. But there's a lot of down payment assistance programs, especially if you're a Native American in Oklahoma. There's a ton of programs where they can give you down payment, and they can even give you a lot towards your a substantial down payment. So, but there's all kinds of other things too that are based on income and things like that. There's like various grants and different organizations that help people get into houses. So you just have to be able to find those, or find a lender that works with those type of situations. But the most critical thing when buying a house is finding a good lender and a good realtor that can help you, because if you don't have a good lender, they're not gonna know about all these programs, or they're not gonna help you as much. So I always recommend finding like a local community bank, or a mortgage lender that just does mortgage lending and that's it, things like that. And I can help, tell you of several that I work with on a regular basis. But I was trying to read this one question. Per the home buying, my husband was the only one on the FHA loan. Does that mean we can also utilize the FHA loan if I'm the only person who applies for the next time? I don't know if I'm clear on what the question is. Are you on the microphone?
Is she talking about how having one person, and if you're married and having just one person's name on the house first, and then say you want to buy a second home, you can still utilize that first time home buyer's experience with the other person? Is that what they're asking?
Well, the FHA is not, you can use the FHA whenever you want. You don't have to use it for your first home. You can use it for any home. You can use it anytime you want. The limits are on the amount of the home can be. And also there's a lot of instances where FHA doesn't make sense. Like if you can afford to put more money down, if you can afford to put 5% down instead of 3%, it's much better to do conventional because your rates are going to be better. You're going to have less requirements from the government and things like that. So it's better if you can go to a conventional. But if you do want to do an FHA, you can do an FHA on as many homes as you want, as long as you meet the requirements. And but FHA does not stand for first time home buyer. It stands for Federal Housing Authority loan. So it actually, a lot of people think that FHA is only for first time. It's not. It's geared towards first time, but you can use it anytime you want. But there's negative things about the FHA, and then there's positive things too. So you have to weigh the pros and cons with your lender and see if it makes sense. Sometimes you can have your lender show you both on a piece of paper and say, here's what you're paying with this one, here's what you're paying with this one. And you can compare them. And if you have a good lender, they'll do that. So, and then also, if you buy a house, before you get married in one person's name. Whenever you go to sell it, you do have to have your spouse sign to sell it. I don't know if that's part of the question. But whenever you get married, you have to have the person sign to sell it whenever you go to sell a house. And if you buy a house while you're married, both of you have to sign for that house. But only one of you has to use credit if you want. Like you can use one credit or both credit. It's up to you. But is any other questions?
My husband is military. Like he got out, so he gets the VA benefits. He is also super happy with his credit and all that. Is there any way that I can kind of help that out? Mine's at about 640. I've been working on building it back up for the past 2 years since I got my divorce handled and taken care of.
I could barely hear it, but did anybody else hear it better than me?
Cassidy, we can barely hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in my car. I can type it super quick.
No,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you
you
now.
now.
Okay, it might be going off of my phone's audio instead of like going through my car. I don't know. I was having issues with it earlier. But so my husband's former military, so he's got all his VA benefits and everything. But he also has the crappiest credit credit score out of the both of us. I've been working on mine since I went through my divorce and everything, and he just was like, oh, well, I'm not worried about any of this. And now we're looking into buying a house, and I'm just kind of smacking him like, you can't just ignore this stuff anymore. Is there any way that I can help with any of that?
The best thing to do is talk to a lender, and then the lender can help give you advice on what to do as far as, they might be able to give you some advice on the best way to go about it. Definitely if you're a veteran, you want to do a VA loan.
Yeah, like even looking at all this stuff, it was one of the best options for us. And but our scores were so low last year that we weren't able to do it. So
Yeah, okay. If you can get them up over that 580 mark, you should be okay.
they were asking for 640 minimum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I check a different bank.
Okay.
Or different. Every lender's different.
Okay.
That's another thing. But yeah, and you can always use both of your credits or just one, however they want to structure it. But if they're
Okay.
using him for the VA loan, they'll probably want to require his credit. They might.
Yeah, I had a feeling on that. That's why I've been like so gung-ho about trying to get him to pay all this stuff on time. Like I've taken over all of our budget and everything. So
Yeah, that paying on time was one of the biggest things on that pie. So I always tell people, pay at least the minimum, always get it paid if you can, do your best you can. And get it paid, and it makes your credit go up so much. And then contesting the negative things, because the negative things hurt you too.
okay.
So I'm putting on this, thank you so much, John, and everybody's question. So I'm putting on this slide. Can you all see this slide with Ryan's contact information with the phone number and email? I'm sure you all have more questions. Please feel free to contact him after the event. Now I would come back to the introduction. I'm very glad that Dr. Dwayne Dickens is our director. He's here to talk to you, and he's been very helpful leading the care package and all the budget related funding related issues. So here we are, Dr. Dickens.
Thank you, Joy, and thank you to the speaker today talking about the financing information. So I'm not available by video today, but I just want to continue to encourage you to, yes, if you can get into a home, we know that that is the best solution, but we also know that you have to look at long-term planning. If you have to start investing and saving up the money, just look at what you can do this year and start setting aside money, start working with that credit score. Things do change over time. And so look at where you're going to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and start making those plans. When I purchased my first home, I had to really think about, this is what age I want to buy the first home. And I looked 5 years out to say, what do I need to do in terms of my credit score, in terms of my bills, in terms of everything, and certainly location as well. So you really want to think about those things because it may be the last home you purchase. So is this the home that you want to live in for the rest of your life? And so you want to think about if you're going to have children, if you're going to get older, what do you want to buy as well? But also just, is this just an investment property that I intend to purchase this as a first-time experience and I plan to rent it out later or sell it after I fix it up? Just decide what is the purpose of this first home. If the first home is not your last home, then it may just be, I need to go through that experience and I plan to sell it or rent it out. So just think through that. But remember where we are right now. We are we have a few more weeks of the semester. So I do want to encourage you to stay focused on your academics because they add up as well. I also want to encourage you to, if you need help, reach out to a success coach, reach out to a peer tutor, reach out to the tutoring services we have at the college, reach out to your teacher. That is the person who knows most what you need. But remember also to reach out to your family and friends and say, I need an hour, I need 2 hours to study. Can you step in and help me as a parent so that I can not be distracted by what's going on with my children and just focus on my study? Is there someone out there, church member, next door neighbor, mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, someone who can step in for a few hours every day or every other day to make sure you stay on track of your studies? So I just want to give you those suggestions. And again, thank you for your continued work as a TCC student and as parents. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Dickens. Again, I'm going back to this care bags. So if you're interested to have this one, as I earlier stated, this is for parents who needs items for their children. This is to support, this is one of the service we provide as the academic success coaches. We help students who are parents. So make sure to email me. My email is in the chat box. Next, we're gonna move on to the sign-in survey. If I've already sent the survey in the chat box. If you have trouble, I can email it to you. So come to the next, we're going to do prize drawing. We have 5 prize drawings of $10 each. So I'm going to share my screen on this drawing here. Oh, Let's see. So is everybody listed here? Now we do have a student only left this phone number. May I have your name, please? The phone number ending 1183.
They're no longer in the call.
Oh, they're not? Okay. Huh?
Is there still more names above the list?
This is everybody, participants here. Aurora, Colton, Shannon, Christy, Kat, Sydney, Ronnie, let me see, Cassidy, Jonica. And so the last, we have a phone number. Is this no longer effective? Okay, so we don't know who this student is. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna. Okay, is everybody there? Anybody need to be added? All right, so now we come down to the drawing. Let's see, we have 5 winners here. Oh, we got a chat box here. Jonica, what did the chat box say?
Ronnie says, there was information that I did not know about in this presentation. Thank you.
Oh,
That
Ronnie, okay, I
Ryan.
can send, Ryan? Oh, yeah,
That
Let's
message
see.
was to Ryan.
To Ryan? Oh, okay, I see. So Ryan would answer that after the event. Okay, so I'm gonna process this prize drawing using this app, right? Name picker. So we're gonna go down. We pick 5 people. Okay, congratulations. Jonica, Sydney, Cassidy, Christy, and Ronnie. Congratulations.
Good job.
All right. Good job. Thank you. And thank you for participation. And then I will send the recording also, as I stated earlier, the recording will be on our DEI, TCC DEI website. Dr. Dickens would, and the work study students in our office will put it online. If you need the recording 10 minutes after this event, I can send it to you individually. I'll be glad to. So have a great day. And Jonica, did you say you would like to have a short e-board meeting for the swap?
Yes, we can hold an executive board meeting. After the executive team will hang on after everyone else leaves. We'll have a short executive board meeting.
Yes, everybody is welcome to join the swap, right? That's a student organization that's made of parents, right? Moms and dad, grandmom and dad. So all students are welcome to join this organization. We have a group me, right, Jonica? And Jonica is the president.
So if anyone would like to join the students who are parents group me, please put your name or your phone number in the chat and we can send you an invite to be added to the group me. So Andrea is actually in charge of the group me. However, I did not see her present today. So I can go ahead and add you guys as soon as you put your phone number in the chat if you want to be added to it. And it is after 2 o'clock. So thank you all for joining today. Thank you, Ryan, for being our guest speaker and speaking about credit repair.
Thank you.